episode of the Raw Podcast. This is Mark.
This is Matt.
This is the hateful one.
The hateful one?
The hateful one.
It sounded very hateful.
And joining us tonight, Clint, man, what's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? Hi, glad to be here.
And been talking about doing a show with you for a few months now and getting you on when we do a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
And which we will talk more about here in a little bit because you're like one of the world's most hardcore Quentin Tarantino
The
fans.
foremost expert, I would say. That's my official title. No, I'm just a super nerd for Tarantino.
And you're also
Get ready to get some questions then.
And you're also a podcaster.
I am. I do a podcast called RAWCAST here based out of Houston as well.
And plug your shit, man. Go ahead.
Okay.
We'll start the show out with some plugs here.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll make it short and sweet, but I do a podcast called RAWCAST. Some of you guys may have heard it, some of you may not. We tagline it with the Antisocial Commentary Podcast, but it's basically kind of a grab bag of various things. I basically just research things that I'm nerdy about and talk about them. I have guests on occasionally, but we're still a relatively young show, so we're kind of finding our voice in the industry or whatever you want to call it. So I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but I do enjoy doing it. We just finished, last night I just recorded and released part 3 in a series on the Summer of Love, 1969, and just some of the kind of pivotal events that took place in American history at that time. I've done episodes on the Legend of Zelda video game series all the way to serial killers and all kinds of random shit like that. So RAWCAST is the name of my show.
Yeah, I appeared on there for probably 30 seconds, briefly, a little drunk at the Podfest last year.
Oh, yeah. I was real drunk on that
we just did sort of a random live show in the middle of the bar and kind of annoyed the bartenders a little bit, because we kept going and going. And,
I was hammered for that. I just posted that episode, but I didn't listen to it for like 3 weeks because I don't know I didn't even remember what the fuck I said. So I was like, I don't want to know yet. And then I went back and listened to it, and it actually sounded like it was a really good time. So I was like, okay, that's reasonable.
Brandon
and Rob and
a bunch of people were coming in and out on that. It was So hopefully we can kind of do some more of that this year at the Podfest. That'll be dope.
At Bar Boheme again this year, November 16th.
November 16th. What is that, a Saturday?
I think
or?
it is a Saturday.
How's the parking there?
I
didn't have
typical Heights parking.
Oh, yeah,
you
actually.
get lucky and find a spot, yeah.
I had to park elsewhere and then walk over, but it wasn't crazy.
It wasn't terrible. I think we got one street over, didn't we? Yeah, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I left my car there and Ubered home, which was the right choice for me because I tied it on that night.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was a good time. But yeah, so how's y'all's week's been?
It's been
a week.
Yeah, it's been a canoe.
We've had more rain in Houston. It's like Hurricane Harvey, the sequel, only not quite a hurricane.
Buffalo Bayou was just as full as when it was with Hurricane Harvey.
Tropical storm Imelda, is that how you say it? Came through Houston this week, and first off, we hope everyone out there is safe that lives in Houston, our friends and stuff like that, and most people that I know are seem like they've made it through this one better than they did with Harvey, and I haven't ran into any stories yet of anything too horrible. Well, the last time I knew, quite a few people got water in their homes.
Yeah, I saw a little bit. I think I want to say 4 fatalities in the city thus far.
Yeah.
I know they found a guy in his truck on I-10 yesterday, and they were like, that brings the count up to whatever. Mm-hmm. But I saw a couple of my friends posting videos with water in their homes, and when I went to work, this area when it rains hard, there's this area I have to pass every day, and it's kind of like a little bayou type pass through near 45, and I've seen it rain really, really hard there, and water collect and get high, but never even to where I was questionable that it's going to come over the road or anything. And on my way to work 2 days ago, it was completely impassable. It was probably 3 or 4 feet above the road. Wow. There was probably 10, 15 vehicles partially and fully submerged. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was wild. Some of them were still sitting there yesterday when I went to work.
It was nuts. This one just sort of hit the city kind of fast. Harvey, we had a little bit of time. This time was this thing just sort of developed in a 24-hour period, and guess what?
Why do they always sneak up on us?
You're getting a tropical storm. Yeah, it was very reminiscent of Allison back in 2002 or 3. Mm-hmm. It just sort of hit really quickly and put a lot of rain in the city.
I feel like everybody else gets a warning, and it's just starting to rain, and then the next thing you know, the whole city is underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be just having to do with Houston's infrastructure and
Yes. More concrete, more concrete.
Yeah.
The city sinks because of it, all the entire city's built on clay and swamp.
Well, one of my friends was also saying, I haven't done any personal research into this, but maybe you guys know something more about this, that they did all kinds of like fundraising after Harvey and like tried to like gather all this money through the city to change the infrastructure because of what happened during Harvey, and apparently they like squandered all that money into some other like useless.
Yeah.
I've heard that, but I'm not.
I've heard some of that too. Like they had a multi-million-dollar plan for water tanks underground and stuff to like pump more water out and things like that. And
that doesn't sound. That sounds like science fiction, dude.
Science fiction.
Yeah. Like apparently
we need Elon Musk to do that.
They want money for another reservoir too on the north side.
Yeah.
Because between Barker and Addicts, it hasn't been able to handle it, so they want to build. But where would you build one? Out towards Katy, somewhere in Hockley, I guess.
Well, it doesn't help that a lot of the homes in those areas weren't supposed to be there in the first place.
I was telling someone that the other day. If you go back and look at the plans when they built the Barker's Reservoir in the 1970s, the blueprints even mark clearly on them, do not build here.
Yeah.
It was all supposed to be runoff, and now it's all covered with homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Fucking corrupt. That's what it is.
Corruption.
Money.
Yeah, I think I also read one of my friends the same person who had posted that and who I was reading some of the like comments on there. You know, I was like Facebook sleuthing. Someone was saying that Houston last year, due to what happened with that Harvey funding that they squandered, was ranked in I think the top 3 most corrupt cities in the United States.
Wow.
Like over that specific incident because people were so outraged. And I was like, well, I've been in Houston the whole time and I've only heard this spoken in like hushed tones and conspiracy theorist circles. So,
well, I mean, they say that the best way to look at how bad government corruption is the way that drivers drive in the city.
Really?
Yes, because you have very few cops patrolling at peak hours, and they're not stopping people. Because I personally have not seen a traffic stop by a cop in months.
Oh Jesus, dude! I've been stopped by the police.
Harris County Sheriff.
They only stop at like the easy parts of Houston, but they don't really stop all the major highways or all that.
Well, I think since I was 16, I've probably been stopped by the police at least 50 times, maybe more than that. Like I don't know if it's just me personally, if I'm a cop magnet of some sort, but dude, I literally when I met my girlfriend, I was like, first time she was with me and I got stopped, I told her, and she's like never been stopped by the police before. I was like, okay, well, this happens to me on probably a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
She's like, what?
She's like, huh? And I'm like, watch, I promise you. Dude, 2 weeks later, got pulled over again. 2 weeks later, got pulled over again. With her in the car every time. I'm like, see? Like, I'm not even doing anything. Like, I think it was one time for, like, changing lanes without... Anyways, I wasn't lying.
CBD.
Oh yeah, no. Let's do my other little side
I'm just
project.
saying you were being stopped because of the CBD.
Yeah. I've never gotten stopped with CBD yet, so I don't know what would happen in that case.
It's all legal now, isn't it?
It is technically,
6
but
grams.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, it's CBD as long as it's derived from hemp is federally legal, so it's also legal here in Houston. But the thing is, how do they know what it is? So I would assume that if I was to get stopped with all my stuff, my assumption is they would probably arrest me, and it wouldn't hold up in court, and it would probably be dismissed, which happens all the time during raids and stuff. But the thing is, anybody could have like a THC edibles or cartridges or whatever and be like, oh yeah, it's just CBD. But more than likely, I feel like they would be like, well, we're gonna need to test this, because they're actually working on a test, like a roadside test, so they can just skip the whole taking you to jail part when you only have CBD, because that is obviously going to be a problem until they just stop being ridiculous about it and legalize THC in Texas. That would be ideal, or federally. So, but I run a company called CBD's Apothecary, and I brought you guys some samples of stuff here. So I'll just give these to you guys. One for you. If you guys aren't into CBD, whatever, give it to your friends. There's just some of our flagship products in there. There's actually a topical beard oil sample. So
nice.
If you want to try and grow one, you rub some of that on your
peach fuzz going
just
there,
rub some of that on your face.
Upstairs or downstairs?
Yeah, wherever you want, buddy. Next thing you know, dude, it'll just be sprouting out like you'll look like fucking Billy Gibbons from ZB's ZZ Top.
Such a Houston name.
Yeah, so our flagship product is a nut edible. We call it CBD's Nuts. It's a single dose edible, 25 milligrams. You can check out our entire line of products at www.cbdsapothecary.com. Do you guys mind if I sell up like a promo for your listeners?
Heck yeah, dude.
Okay, cool. So after the show is over and airs, I'll put a no. Go ahead, man. I'll sell up a promo. I'll just put a 10% discount for anybody using the promo. We'll just call it Rebel, REBEL. Type that promo at checkout at my website, and you'll get 10% off. And the website is www.cbdapotHecary.com. Sorry, it's
a big word.
Yeah. CBD's Apothecary. So yeah, go check us out. We have a full line of oils, sleep aid supplement, pet care products, CBD edibles, and I produce and source all these products myself. So check that out. We do a lot of good CBD stuff there. So just a gift for you gentlemen.
I appreciate
you guys
it.
want to try some of that? Absolutely, man.
We have the biggest beard ever now.
Yeah.
Bam.
You look like one of the 7 dwarves.
I don't know. I'm starting to get my first gray hair.
Nah, I made it up.
Beard oil.
I made it up, dude. I made it up.
Oh, okay.
Well, look at this gorgeous, voluptuous beard, man. You can tell it's daily. No, so the beard oil is actually like a jojoba, sweet almond, a couple different just classic moisturizers that people would use for their skin or hair, and then I put CBD, biotin, a couple of hair growth vitamins that stimulate hair growth, and it's a topical. So the jury is out on whether, this guy called it earlier, snake oil. I think it smells good, and I like it. It also, not only is it if it doesn't even grow your beard well, it does help to moisturize and tame it. So I think it's a pretty cool multi-use product, and I sell a pretty good amount of it. So.
I was just joking about
I know, you really hurt my feelings, man. No, I'm just kidding.
It's that dark Asian sense of humor that Long brings.
I have a dry sense of humor. My bad.
That's all right, man. You were telling me earlier about your black hole in your heart. So.
Oh yeah, the one that X-rays can't seem to get a reading on. Yeah. I got you.
I believe that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
that's about it for my for what I do. But I'm super stoked to be on the show, talk some Tarantino.
Man. Yeah, we're excited.
Hell yeah.
Been trying, like I said, we'll get into more Tarantino in a minute about how we were trying to get you on for Reservoir Dogs, and your schedule didn't quite work out back then. But it's happening today, though.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But let's get into the show officially then. We always start with Download This, where we talk about what we might have watched and streamed, or video games we played, or whatever we did in our spare time this week that we consumed into our brains. And Clint, we'll let you start, man. What have you been checking out lately? You watched anything cool?
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on. I guess that's subjective, but
right.
Yeah, today I read. What I do now is I used to just get really fall into the hype machine of video games, and every trailer that I thought was cool, or every game that I thought was gonna be sick, I would just go pay $60 or $70 right up front and just buy it. So now what I do is I just go Redbox it first and try it out. So I Redboxed Borderlands 3 today, and it's pretty badass. I think I'm gonna I normally rate games on this kind of a scale. After I rent it, would I pay $60? Is it worth $60 or is it not worth $60? So I've only put in 3 hours, but I think it's probably worth a buy, and I probably will end up buying it. Are you guys Borderlands fans?
I played the first two.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the second one.
I played a little bit of the first one, but I never got hardcore into it.
Yeah?
But I think it was at a time
when... It's fun with friends.
Yeah, well, it was an Xbox 360 free game one month, so I got it for free. And I think it was at the time, I want to say, Wyatt was born, and so I was just busy, and I never really got back to playing it.
Yeah.
So I have it on my 360, so one day maybe I need to go back and revisit it,
I always loved, I think I really got into the second one, and I spent a lot of time with that. But it's been a long time since this is the first one they've dropped in a while. And it's just riding a bike, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember why this game is awesome. Because I saw it teased in trailers, and I was like, yeah, I remember Borderlands was pretty cool. And so when I started playing, I was like, oh yeah, I remember why this game is awesome. So, you loot a lot of stuff and right. alter your weapons, and always trying to level up your gear and shit. And it's fun first-person shooter. So
it looks like probably one of the few AAA games without the microtransactions.
What does that mean?
Microtransactions where
microtransactions, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even NBA 2K, now they charge you if you want this certain hairstyle, you have to pay $1 for each little customization, which used to be free. you know, or, you know, Star Wars where they charge you loot boxes, so you have to buy X amount of loot boxes to get the character you want, you know, pay to win, you know, those kind of things, because they started doing that a lot.
Well, I haven't delved too deeply into it, so they may incorporate that into it. I'm not sure at this point. I haven't seen any of that yet, but I'm not sure.
But I haven't heard any complaints about, like, I don't think that feature even exists in Borderlands 3. So that's pretty good, because a lot of people are extra happy with full release games without microtransactions.
Yeah, I know, I sure am.
Yeah,
I don't like that shit.
Like God of War.
Yeah.
God of War was like
like Naughty Dog tends to just put out their games. Spider-Man might have a DLC. A DLC is different though than microtransactions. Yeah, Spider-Man. You just got the game. If you wanted the DLC, great. If you didn't, you'd have to get it. Yeah.
Spider-Man's a full-fledged game.
Yeah, I played some of that. Yeah. I spent some time with Days Gone. That's a Naughty Dog game, right? Days Gone.
Insomniac, maybe?
I think it was Insomniac. Which is almost... I swear Insomniac almost feels like they want to be Naughty Dog.
Yeah, they're so similar.
Similarities to their games.
I think that I just pulled that out because I don't remember, and I was playing the game, and I was like, this feels so similar.
I've heard Days Gone's really good.
What was the big one that Naughty Dog did?
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, which was a spectacular game. Yeah.
Is it fun?
Which one?
Days Gone.
I think it's fun. Yeah, I like it. I'll spend some more time with it. I'm not sure if I'd pay $60 for it. I'd probably wait a couple months, which it's already kind of aging at this point. Like in the video game world, I guess like a month or two is aging. So, yeah, I mean, if I found it for like $20 or $30, I'd probably pick it up. It's fun. But another thing is, I don't have any time, so like I as much as I love to play video games, like I don't buy them that much anymore, because I'll buy them like the day I'm off and be like, I'm gonna play the shit out of this game, and I'll play it for like 2 or 3 hours that day, and then I'll never open it back up again. Like I just get, my brain just goes off onto other things, dude.
I think I've been working on Red Dead Redemption 2 for 6 months.
No shit, I still haven't beat it. And I mean, I played the hell out of that game when I first got it, and then
just finding the time.
And then one day I like stopped, and I just never did again. Keep Forrest Gump, dude.
Adulting sucks.
I what else? Well, I'm sure you guys have already talked about Tool, so I probably won't want to beat a dead horse with that. But the two new Tool album is awesome. So that I've been enjoying that, and it's kind of serendipitous for me, because I'm actually going to Peru in 3 weeks.
Oh wow! Yeah,
I'm gonna go do this like little backpacking trip, and I'm going to Cusco, which is like a mountainous area of Peru. It's called a specific area called the Sacred Valley. And I'm taking ayahuasca. Have you guys heard of ayahuasca? And nobody. So okay. I'm actually going to do a full-fledged episode on this right before I go, and then talk about it when I come back. But ayahuasca is like it's like a traditional shamanic brew and ceremony that they do in South American countries, like in Amazonian areas, and it's basically a super potent psychedelic brew made from like different indigenous plants in the Amazon. So I'm going to like sit in this ceremony in the Andes Mountains to drink this like psychedelic brew.
That's cool.
I heard there's another brew in the kind of not there, but I think more in the Brazilian rainforest where like the village women spit into like some processed wheat in that area, and they spit in it to ferment it, and then they drink it. You know,
that could work, because I know that
beer made of human spit.
Oh, it's like an alcoholic beverage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to pass on that. I won't be drinking any of that shit.
What if you're about to drink something that has that main element, though?
I'm going to not do that.
I draw a line of spit.
Yeah, human spit, nah.
Well, you might insult the culture.
That's too damn bad, bro. They might insult my
so we don't
body, dude.
We're here from Clint again in 4 weeks, so we know what happened.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, I've been planning on doing this for a long time, but why I say serendipitous is because Tool, specifically, like, all their artwork with Alex Gray. Alex Gray, are you guys familiar with Alex Gray, who does their artwork? Yeah. A lot of his artwork is specifically tryptamine inspired. So the key active ingredient in the brew is DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine, and a really potent hallucinogen.
Yeah.
And Alex Gray's artwork, which coincides with Tool's album artwork, is all tryptamine and hallucinogen inspired. So I just thought it was kind of like, I would become re-obsessed with Tool right when I'm about to go take this like crazy.
They timed the album just right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really good album. Though.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's been nonstop spinning. But like, have you guys talked about it? And
we did a little bit when Rob was on the show because he was talking about it too. The week it came out, and I'm more familiar with it than they are. Because I grew up listening to Tool. I've seen Tool 3 or 4 times in concert.
Yeah, I've seen them a couple times. It's been a long time.
I'm not going to the one in October just because I wasn't paying $140 for tickets.
Dude, I want to go, but I mean now they're not. You can't even get them for that now. They're up to like $200, $250 for like shit.
I'm just one of those people. Maybe I'm a cheap bastard, but I paid $30 and saw them on the 3rd row at the Woodlands.
Yeah,
back in like on the Laterals tour or something like that. So I'm like, once I've seen that, why am I going to pay $140 to sit possibly a mile away? You know?
I feel you.
So
I really want to go to that show too because the album is so good, but. If I can somehow, and I'm gonna look if I can come across a ticket that's reasonable, I'll get it. But I'm not gonna spend $200 or $300.
Or do it the day of the show, man. That's
go find a scalper.
That's why I saw 9 Inch Nails at Verizon Wireless Theater when they did that small tour when the With Teeth album came out. I called around that day, and the guy wanted $120. I said, "Come on, dude, it's the day of the show. What's the lowest you'll take?" He's like, "I'll take $75." So I went and saw 9 Inch Nails at a small venue for $75.
That's dope.
And that was only $20 more in the face value.
Yeah.
So sometimes you wait till the day of the show. The scalpers, they got to get rid of them.
That's my plan. Because I already know I'm off that day, so we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
But I'm gonna take it in if I can. But that's the few things I've been into here lately.
Well, did you guys check anything out this week?
Yeah, I watched Hellraiser 1 and 2, and I watched Leviathan
Halloween
1 and
spirit.
2. Yeah.
Never seen any of the Hellraisers to my discredit. Yeah, I never have.
It's based off the book, The Hellbound Heart, and it basically tells the story of Hellraiser 1 tit for tat, but it gives you a little backstory to, if you've ever seen the first one, Frank Cotton, who's the guy at the beginning, he thinks the cube is going to bring him to a dimension of like pleasure, like physical pleasure, but then the Cenobites show up, Pinhead and everybody, and they're like, no, it's a different kind of pleasure, and it intrigues him, so they take him, and it's like, some horrific torture. And they're,
which some people might consider pleasurable. Not me particularly.
S&M people, you know. And they
who wrote that? Clive Barker.
Barker.
He actually wrote the novels as well.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's there's only 4 films technically that are in the continuity, and the last one is whenever Hellraiser goes to space. It's like 2049 or something, and they're trying to figure out how to kill the Cenobites so that they
Strangely, that's the only one out of those I actually kind of remember. I remember watching that one.
Yeah. It was
I thought it was
freaky.
so bizarre because it's in space. Yeah,
it was the last theatrical release, and it was the last one in continuity. All the other ones are like different directors. They didn't have all the rights tied up, or they borrowed them. And I
actually watched one of the newer editions of it.
Oh yeah, when they're in the frat house.
Yeah, I watched like a quarter of it, and it was just like it seemed to have no plot, and it didn't seem to be going anywhere, and it was extremely like brutally gory, and but it wasn't like for a point or a reason. I just didn't get it. And it's not that I was like offended by it. I was like, this is just not it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So I was like, I just turned it off. It just lost me.
It becomes torture porn.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Hellraiser 1's the one you just need to see, right?
Yeah, from what I know.
Leviathan. Well, I would watch Hellraiser 1 and 2. The third one you could probably omit, and then the fourth one you could probably omit too. But I watched Leviathan, which is a documentary, and it taught the actor that played Pinhead. They talked to him and everything, and one of the directors.
He's the complete opposite of his character.
Yeah, he's
like this super nice like grandpa type guy.
Yeah, and what's funny is weird. Like this guy was like, I was offered to do a play. I'm going to talk like one of the Thorskin guys from Thorskin podcast. Hello, Alex. I was offered to do a play. I was going to play King Henry in a rendition of Hamlet, and instead I played this. And Gary Oldman was very, very jealous. And in fact, after that, he played Dracula.
That is how he talks.
Yeah.
Guy played Pinhead.
Is that why he took on Dracula?
I can't think of the guy's name
because he didn't play Pinhead.
It's exactly
wow.
Yeah.
So they wanted Gary Oldman to do that.
Gary Oldman wanted that spot.
That would have been crazy.
They picked him. They said that they loved the way he talked.
Yeah.
And if you hear the way he talks, it's very like deep.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fans were complaining that he didn't make an appearance in the recent Hellraiser movies.
Yeah.
And the guy's like old. He can't do it. Physically he can't do it.
It's a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
They're showing the makeup and everything to get those to make him look the way he needed to look.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you've seen or play?
I did play Injustice 2.
That's a fun game.
Yeah.
The story mode is fun.
I played 1. I never owned it, but I played 1, and then they had the version where everything's unlocked. Oh. And so I bought it for like $20 for my kid's birthday, and that was one of his gifts.
For your kid's birthday?
Yeah. Boomerang gift.
Yeah.
I love boomerang gifts. It's not so
I need to give me
gory.
some kids so I
That's a good part of having kids. You get that, like, I bought it for him, but I had to play it.
They were watching me play Mortal Kombat, and my wife got pissed because I unlocked the Leatherface character and Jason, and I was playing with them, and she's like, "You can't do that!" And I was doing the X-ray moves where it shows you break their spine and go through them with the chainsaw. And
yeah, Injustice 2 is not that.
So
gory.
I had to, even though
same engine.
same company, but way less gory.
Yeah,
and so that's what I did. You long?
I'm about to be finished with 2 of my scale model ships. They were kind of tough. Assembling them was fine, but the paint schemes was what's getting to me. So I finished the Battleship Bismarck.
Nice.
And then I'm working on the aircraft carrier Enterprise. That one was the one that had me just scratching my head as far as color schemes.
I bet that's extremely tedious.
Yeah, but
I used to do that when I was a kid. I remember doing a couple of those with my mom.
Yeah,
that was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I like puzzles and stuff. So it's like kind of in that vein.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, I think as far as the difficulty, submarines are the easiest.
Yeah,
because it's just a cylindrical object, and then you just slap some periscopes on it. Boom, you're done. No matter the size, whatever. Then cars are kind of intricate depending on what kit you get. Airplanes are actually kind of easy. Tanks are kind of easy, but warships are the most difficult ones because they have so many low guns, so many railings, so many ladders, so many decks, and so many propellers. And I'm like, but I like it. Once you're done with it, it's so
gratifying.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I had a friend when I was very, very young, probably like middle school-ish, early middle school, and we would go to his house, and he would have like those model planes hanging, and they would like. He would hang them in a way that they were in like dogfight scenes and stuff, and it was really cool. And he's a pilot now. He does some badass like pilot stuff.
Yeah,
so he totally followed his dream all the way to like the finish. From young age.
I did finish my first diorama for one of my battleships, and I gave it to my dad.
What is that, like a scene?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
With realistic looking water waves, and the boat's kind of like look. It looks like it's gliding through the water.
That's badass.
So my dad likes it. He puts it on his coffee table.
Nice.
That's
so. What's up.
But yeah, I've studied a lot of naval history and stuff like that too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Trying to put my history degree to use still.
Yeah.
And I've been releasing YouTube videos on some of the models that I completed, and I think my last one hit 200 views. Ooh.
Wow,
there you go. More than all mine combined.
Yeah. It's kind of weird though. There's an anime coming out, and it's kind of like tied with the naval history shit stuff. And it's an anime. All these girls that are like personifications of naval warships, actual historical ships.
Interesting.
And people are like, that's kind of disrespectful to the history of those ships. They're like, well, it's bringing more people to the subject, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, jumping
have
anime
like
girls.
giant, huge titties, and like tentacles coming out of the water. Like, I can only imagine. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I could be completely mischaracterizing that. I have no idea. I'm interested.
There's a mobile game called Azur Lane coming out. Well, it's already out. It's very popular among anime fans, but it's free.
Otakus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Otaku for life.
Yeah.
I can't stand that word weeb. Weeaboo.
Oh, weeb.
What does it mean?
Is that like it's one of these new words millennials have?
It's a millennial word or some shit.
Or is it an exennial or whatever?
Well, it's you know that YouTube channel Filthy Frank?
Oh yeah.
Welcome
to the rice fields, motherfucker.
He's the one who coined that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about smoking weed?
No, it's
maybe he has done that.
It's spelled WEEABO. Uyabo or whatever.
What does it mean?
It means like if it's a person who is not Japanese but decides to take on all the Japanese lifestyle.
Cultural appropriator.
Well, and just, a dude who more likely wears a fedora, carries a samurai sword.
Oh my god, I used to know some of those guys in high school.
Yeah, and then they just talk to you with Japanese phrases. I mean, they like go full blown. Me, I'm a full blown otaku. Yes. I'm an anime fan. That's it. I don't have the body pillows. The most I'll do is probably collect a statue or some kind of collectible, or I have a library, but I won't like straight up absorb a Japanese culture.
I had a friend in high school who was training himself to write like Japanese lettering. He would do like the calligraphy. He would throw Chinese stars. He would always wear like
that's a weeb.
Really but he was way ahead of his time though, because this was like 15 years ago. That wasn't even a thing, dude. This guy was like he wanted to be a ninja, bro. Like literally. He would like
learn the Naruto things.
He would show me like
Did he run like that?
No, dude, no, I don't even think that that might have been popular at that. I don't know.
We didn't even talk about
that Storm Area 51.
He was like, he would always try to show me his like samurai sword skills. Like literally, he would like practice like chopping things in half. He was a cool dude, but he was extremely bizarre.
Was he a Japanophile then?
I don't know, but he was this really sheltered, nerdy white kid who like had just found comfort in this other culture that like he could like see, but not be like, he wanted to be involved in it, but he just, I don't know. It was just very, he's a very unique person.
Yeah.
I don't know if I haven't seen him in years, so I don't know if
I'm
he's still
not judging. I mean, people have their passions, that's for sure.
He was passionate about it, dude. He wasn't bullshitting. Like, he was held with much disdain for behaving in this manner, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I love this shit. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah.
How are you, Mark?
I guess I'll go into anime, man. I've been trying, because remember I bought the Cowboy Bebop series on Blu-ray, and I set it down and hadn't gone back to it. So I'm trying to blow through that, man. And like, I'm thinking, like, how did it take me 20 years to watch this show? It's so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And every single action director or sci-fi director that we've been watching movies, even in the MCU, in the last 50 years, had to have watched this.
Yeah.
I'm seeing stuff in Cowboy Bebop that I've seen in live action movies.
Yeah.
It's like you could tell they were all influenced by it. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I was like, I didn't realize how far the influence of Cowboy Bebop has reached. That this show was groundbreaking in 1998, 1999 when it came out, and it's really good. So I've been blowing through that, and then I'm pulling a Stranger Things with the boys. Remember how long it took me to finish the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things? I'm doing that with the boys. I've been sitting on episode 7 for like 2 weeks now, and I only have 2 episodes.
I started it and never finished it.
And I need to go back and finish it. Like, I just don't like it as much as everyone else did.
I think
it's okay.
Yeah,
I think it's too nihilistic.
But I'm gonna finish it because I only have 2 left. But everyone's saying like it's a 9.0, a 10. I'm like, it's all right. That's just me.
Just saw the first 2
I think I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I don't know, life happened, and I was like, and I keep like scrolling past it on my Amazon watch list, and I'm like, later.
That's kind of how I feel. Like I like it, but I'm not high on it like everyone else is. I think it's okay.
I like Starfire.
Not aware of what that is.
I mean, Starlight. Sorry.
Starlight is the
the character in the show.
Annie.
Okay.
Yeah, the blonde chick.
Yeah.
I started Carnival Row.
I've heard that's really good.
Me and my girl watched 3 episodes of it. It's kind of cool because it's Lovecraftian. So anything that has that Lovecraftian bent for me, like even if I'm not digging it fully, I'm like, I'll watch it just to see how well they execute the like Lovecraftian mythos and stuff. And so far it's pretty good, but once again I got to episode 3 and now I think I last watched it like
it's difficult to stick with stuff and consume it because there's so, especially when it comes to streaming television, there's so much out there now.
I think it's just the rapid fire, like our brains are just set for ADHD now, dude. We just can't, like, I know I used to be able to sit down as a kid and play a video game until I beat it. Like I would not stop playing it until I was done. Now I'm like, even the dopest, coolest game I want to play, I'll play it for an hour. I'm like, all right, I can't, like, I gotta do something else.
Yeah, that's true. I know how you feel. I mean, the older we get, it's like the less desire. We just gotta do other things.
Yeah.
It feels like so many genres and mediums are competing for our attention too.
They
for
are.
our spare time.
Yeah.
It's just streaming services that want you to, spend
Watch
time
their
with
new
them.
shows,
Video games and live television. That's how television is trying to compete with all the on-demand stuff. Have special live broadcasts.
These live plays they've done.
I haven't paid for like this like cable television or anything like that in probably like 5 or 7 years. Like I've gone completely internet.
The only reason I keep it is for like the Astros and stuff because I can't get them streaming yet.
Yeah, and like we were talking earlier, I'm not a huge sports fan, and that would be if I were, I that makes sense to me. But since I don't really watch sports, I have no reason to have cable whatsoever.
Yeah,
well, that makes sense.
Well, I've always heard that about Cowboy Bebop. I'm not an anime fan at all, and nor have I ever really consumed much of it. But that's the one that like keeps coming. That like, if I were gonna watch anime, that's where I would start because I've heard that from so many people like who are also similar to myself and like just never got into that. But people that I know who aren't anime fans are like, dude, Cowboy Bebop is the shit. Like,
it is very good. It is on Hulu. I just happened to buy the Blu-ray on Prime Day because they ran it for like $16. It was a good deal. And it's amazing. Like you could tell, like Joss Whedon's Firefly. You can tell it came out 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
He must have watched this right before he did Firefly.
Yeah.
There's like so much Firefly influence from Cowboy Bebop, or Cowboy. You know what I meant? Cowboy Bebop influenced it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Cowboy Bebop's like a gateway drug to anime.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard, man. I don't know if I want to jump off into that.
Different things.
Yeah.
It is.
You're like, that's
Star
a gateway
Wars.
drug.
Star Wars is a gateway drug to science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of gateway drugs to sci-fi, but there's like
Poltergeist could be kind of considered a gateway drug for horror movies.
Yeah.
Jaws.
Jaws. Oh, yeah, Jaws.
That was the first movie that
Jaws is a
scared the
gateway
living
drug
shit
to
out of me.
bad shark movies.
Yeah.
That's true though.
Jaws was amazing.
Pick your gateway drug.
Yeah.
Of what you want to get into.
Yeah. So on to the feature.
Yeah, let's hit the feature film, man. We're talking about doing another Tarantino film.
I really want to hear your opinion on
and
this.
we the easy pick would have been Pulp Fiction. It's 25th anniversary. But as I started looking, like there were a lot of podcasts doing Pulp Fiction, and I didn't want to be like the trendy guy.
Yeah.
So I was
Wise
like,
decision.
Yeah. So I was like, let's get Clint on the show, and Clint was like down for either that or Inglourious Bastards, and confession to make, I had not seen The Hateful Eight till this past week and a half.
Ooh.
And which is rare for me. I'm usually always on top of Tarantino.
Yeah.
If I don't see it in theater, I usually see it right when it comes out on video. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I haven't seen, so I'll catch it as soon as it's video. But The Hateful Eight, I tried to watch it 2 or 3 times in the last year, and I kept something came up. I knew what happened in the first 15 minutes
because
I kept seeing that. So I finally sat down and watched it this week, and so we did choose The Hateful Eight as our feature film, and to have Clint on the show as a big Tarantino fan. So that was the first time. We usually ask when the first time we saw it was. For me, it was last week. First time I saw it.
Who
which
wants
is
to
rare
summarize
for me.
it?
Give it a summary. Whoever wants to summarize it.
I'll do it.
You.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, 8 individuals in the period of Western period.
Post-Civil War.
Post-Civil
Yeah,
War.
just post-Civil War.
Are gathered really and stranded in a log cabin in the middle of a blizzard.
Much as we are right now.
Right.
Minus the blizzard.
Minus the blizzard. Oh, floods. Floods.
Yeah,
there we go.
Could get really fucked up in
So
your
8
roads.
strangers, 8 of the most hateful strangers that you've ever seen on television, but they're compelling. And then one of them happens to be a criminal, Miss Dabagoo.
Dabagoo.
Her and Kurt
What do you
Russell's
got?
character. What's his name again?
The Hangman.
The Hangman.
John Ruth.
Yeah, John Ruth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Basically, 8 characters are stuck with each other, hating on each other. And,
Well, he's trying to deliver to a town, and he comes. Yeah.
Right, and John Ruth is trying to deliver this lady criminal to the town to hang her. And unbeknownst to everyone else, that there's someone in the 8 that are trying to get her out, rescue her from John Ruth. And it's kind of a half mystery, half whodunit.
Yeah.
And anyways, needless to say, all 8 die by the end of the movie, and justice happens.
In classic Tarantino fashion, things do not go as planned.
No.
Things don't go as planned.
Or as expected.
Yeah, there was a little mystery within the mystery of who poisoned John Ruth towards the last half.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting mystery, and what happened to the folks who lived in the log cabin, which is a haberdashery. Minnie's haberdashery.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. What happened to Minnie before the 8 strangers arrived there, and But anyways, to summarize the plot, 8 people who hate each other and a whodunit all wrapped up in one, and it's all set in one location inside the log cabin. Mm-hmm. It's a good 3-hour movie.
Yeah, I think it was like the theatrical release was right at 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then I think they have.
I only saw the theatrical. They
have a special release on Netflix right now that's actually like a 4-part mini series, 5-part.
That's 4.
Is it?
I thought it was 5.
It's 4.
And I think it's fully the uncut is like 3 hours and 30 some odd minutes. I think is like the total on it now.
See, I've only seen the theatrical cut, and I love it.
Yeah,
you know. I can't imagine what the 4-hour.
I actually, for my first time watched the extended version because I'm like, you know what, I'm going to watch. I'm going to go for broke, and it's really good too. Yeah. And I actually have started the theatrical version, just haven't finished it yet to compare them to see what they change and stuff. But it actually watching it in 4 chapters like that, it goes by really quick. It actually every
I think it's a better
I want to
division
see what
of the film. I agree. First time I saw it was I actually went to a special release of it that was done with 70 millimeter Panavision.
Oh, the Roadshow release.
Yeah. So I actually went to one of those. It was in Katy, and that was. I think I went the weekend that it was released. That was several years ago. Mm-hmm. That was like in 2015 or 16.
Yeah,
15. And
because that was the Alamo Drafthouse was putting those on, wasn't it? Yeah.
The one I saw was not at the Alamo Drafthouse, but now they do that. They did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that. Or I don't think it was a 70 millimeter release, but it was some sort of a special. I don't know. You could go and get some sort of I wanted to go to, but it was only in Austin the weekend I was available, so I didn't end up going.
Austin.
Yeah, I wanted to go. I had a couple buddies. I was like, dude, let's go down and check it out. And they were like, I don't know, we're not. And so I was like, well, shit, I'm not gonna go spend $100 on hotel room.
I went to Austin one time, and my credit score went up.
Yeah,
credit score went up like 100 points just driving through Austin.
Yeah,
went back down once I hit Bastrop.
Yeah,
funny guys. Inside joke we've had going.
Inside joke.
Yeah. I like Austin too. Last time I went to Austin, I know my credit score went down because I went for a bachelor party. So that's a whole nother story.
That's awesome.
So, gosh, where do we begin on this?
When did did you watch this?
I'm in your boat. This week? I'd started over the past couple years.
I've never seen it.
I started it, and then I got a little bit through. I remember, snow and a cabin, and Kurt Russell dragging along an old lady, beating her like a, like the honeymooners straight to the moon.
Yeah.
And then I didn't remember anything else because I never got past whenever they first entered the cabin, really, and finally finished watching it this morning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah? Did you watch both versions, or?
I watched the extended.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I only seen the theatrical, and I thought it was a blast.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. You can't even tell what genre this movie is.
Exactly.
It's an action, drama,
Mystery.
comedy.
Dude,
a crime film.
Yeah.
After I've watched it now, okay, so
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
I even enjoyed I thought Channing Tatum was really good in the film, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I remember leaving the theater, and this usually happens to me like the last few Tarantino movies I've seen, like Inglourious Basterds, that, and now Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Inglourious Basterds?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. But I was like, okay, I know I just saw something special, but I'm not exactly sure. Most Tarantino movies, especially these longer ones like he's doing now, they require for me like 4 or 5 watches to even start to gather the nuance and stuff. And so now I've probably watched the movie close to 10 times just because, I don't know, like after the 3rd or 4th watch, I really started to like enjoy the kind of like mythos that they're weaving and all the little intricacies. But I was like, I've started to think now that it almost could have been a horror movie. Like it was so dark and so like bleak that if they would have just kind of slightly tweaked a few things and maybe executed less on the kind of dark comedy aspect, I think it could have easily tipped over into a pretty brutal horror movie. And I kind of wish it would have. Like now I'm just like, I mean, the last scene, if it wasn't for like the kind of comedic relief, the very final scene where they're like pulling her, like jacking her up to the roof, I'm like, such a brutal, like horrific, violent scene. It's like, man, that really,
you know what, it may be brutal, but to me it was satisfying story wise.
Sure.
I think it was the most satisfying hanging scene I've ever watched in any kind of movie that has a hanging scene, you know.
But also it has the buddy movie aspect because the only two guys who are left at the end are the racist Southern rebel and the Northern general.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the movie, all they do is hate each other, like in a very visceral racial sense. And at the end of the movie, they somehow have come through this like experience to be these bizarre buddy duo, you know? And like that's how it ends. It's like how the fuck did you get from that first scene in the carriage with them, or the opening few scenes in the carriage with them, to this scene? It's like,
I think
it's awesome.
It illustrates how like in real life and death situations do transform the people's belief systems, and then they know it's all BS and they let go of that their weird moral codes, and it's like, okay, what's more important is that we're alive. You know, we got through this and we helped each other out, you know.
But yet there was still this intensity even at the end between them. Like I kept almost waiting for Samuel L. Jackson's general to turn and to shoot Walter Coggins and shoot everybody. Because there was still this intensity about even at that end, you know. And I think, like you said, it's the way these characters come together in a death and life situation.
And I also really appreciate how at the end, like, you know, just like the little things in this movie that I feel like make it a great piece of cinema is how, like, right when the movie's literally about to end and he asks him to, like, read the letter again. And that was such a joke between them, and, like, they were, like, ready to kill each other over that initially. But even though he knows, and he's the one who's telling them, like, this is bullshit, the president would never write this black man a letter like that, and he's laughing at him, and the whole thing comes to light that it's bullshit.
I felt sad for John Ruth when he realized that.
I know, and it's like you even though this guy's been beating the shit out of this woman the whole time, and he's obviously a piece of shit, even though he does have his, like, moral code, you do feel like your feelings are hurt for him because he's been, like, you know, he's been clowned on, and it's like, why do you feel that? That's another reason why I worship Tarantino, because he causes you to, like,
film too, truth and lies.
For sure. And I think that plays into the whodunit aspect, you know, and that kind of mystery.
So,
but then again, when John Ruth is killed so quickly, you don't really feel for him dying, though. You feel sad for him in that moment over the letter. But then when he dies, you're like, well, he was an asshole anyway.
I actually felt fairly satisfied at that point as well, too, because it's like you start to become endeared to her as well, even though you know she is who she is, you know?
She's a rotten person. And she's a really rotten person towards that end, too. You know? She really showed her true colors. But we gotta put that spotlight on the way Samuel L. Jackson delivered that monologue to the old Confederate general about his missing son. Oh my gosh. I laughed so hard towards the end of that.
That's so funny. That's probably my least favorite scene in the movie, because
it's so disturbing.
It sucked on my dingus.
It was warm because it was full of blood. Like,
he's probably my favorite character in that whole movie, Samuel Jackson. I mean, even whenever he's talking about the burning down the house, and kill them Southern crackers.
Well, burn them, stab them, drop a big old rock on the head.
Well, my one thing with Tarantino and his films, and it's like, when I say this, I don't hate is Tarantino's perversion sometimes. Like in Kill Bill, I absolutely hate the scene at the beginning of the film where he's like, "I'm Buck and I like to fuck," and but I think the reason I hate it is because it does get under your skin. It bothers you. Like, and so you should hate it, and that's why I hate about the "he sucked on my dingus" scene, because it's just like, it's really gross, it's disturbing. So I think you're not supposed to like it, but it doesn't make me hate the movie. But sometimes I do think Quentin should back off on that stuff a little bit. Sometimes he lets those type of scenes go too far. You know, does that make sense? And,
I understand what you're saying, but I think what you're also saying is correct, that it makes an effective, because it causes you to, like, it's a visceral experience for you, because you're disgusted by what you're seeing. Right. You're appalled, you know? It's like, I don't want to, like, think about that being a real thing, even though, even in the movie, you never know whether that's real or whether he made that story up.
Right.
You never know if he just told him that to get him to reach for the pistol, or if that's a true story. And, that's another thing. But, he does that in a lot of his movies, like in Inglourious Bastards, when probably in multiple scenes, but when he's about to beat the dude with the baseball bat. That's like one of the most probably horrific beatings I've ever seen on film. It's just like, God, every time you see it, you just want to look away. It's like too much to watch, you know?
Yeah.
And there's always a scene like that in a Tarantino movie. The dude getting his ear cut in Reservoir Dogs, or...
Yeah, and you can definitely see the Scorsese influence in that, too.
Yeah.
Because Scorsese doesn't pull back from the violence either.
Yeah.
It's depicted realistically and not in a glorified fashion.
I think of that scene from the cornfield in... the
Casino.
Yeah. God, that's one of those scenes that really, like, you never forget that scene after you see
the cornfield where Joe Pesci and his younger
brother,
brother were killed by baseball bat bludgeoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The score in this film, Marconi. Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
My man, I was about to mention that.
He won
and
an
then
Oscar for this. Yeah.
he even took an unused song called "Bestiality" from The Thing. It was and he played it in here for Kurt Russell as a tribute to The Thing with Kurt Russell.
So I read that several of the songs were actually written for The Thing, and they never went on that score. And he reworked some of them, but a lot of them were original writings for The Thing.
Did Marconi do the score for The Thing?
Yeah,
really? Because John Carpenter usually does most. Or is it the original Thing?
No, we're talking about the
talking about the 70s.
That was way before Morricone started.
Tarantino also said that The Thing was one of the major influences for the film because it's the similar, like in The Thing, it's about these people who are trapped in this situation in this blizzard, and it's most of the movie takes place within this like facility or compound. So he kind of wanted that feel of like entrapment.
And you feel like you're in that cabin too.
Yeah, like you can't get out.
Samuel Jackson's talking about burning down the house on those men, and you hear fire crackling. They play fire crackling in the background.
Yeah,
and they really set up the scene for you.
Yeah, that and to jump on to build upon what you were saying about the score.
Yeah,
the score. I actually have it on my streaming to play in the background when I'm working.
I was listening to it last night, actually.
Score.
Yeah,
it's one of the best scores. I mean, a lot of
and it's very
Tarantino movies have great soundtracks.
That intro, when the long 5-minute scene when the carriage is coming up and they're like zooming back from that cross or whatever, and it's like that da na 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 na. That's such an ominous It's like so low and like it's
almost
really well done.
Almost a horror feel to it.
Yeah.
Like you're fixing to get into some bad shit.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the whole feel of the movie is like about 2 or 3 clicks away from being a fucking brutal horror movie. And I really wish he would have done that. Just gone like straight hard line. Like if you had seen that, if you would have saw that Samuel L. Jackson scene in a hardline horror movie, that would really, really be like an almost like you would want to vomit watching that if it wasn't interspersed with the black comedy, you know?
Like if you took out the scenes with them nailing down the door and stuff like that, I could see how it could be a much darker film.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those scenes kind of broke up the evil aspects of this film because they were kind of funny. Even after the 4th time, I still found myself chuckling at the door.
Yeah,
like, okay, this is pretty funny. You gotta use 2 nails.
So another crazy thing about the music, it's not so much the score, but I don't know if you guys have heard this, but this is a pretty cool factoid. The scene where Daisy Domergue is playing the guitar and Kurt Russell kind of allows her to do that for whatever. I think he even uncuffs her for a second, or she asks if she can get the guitar and he lets her have it or whatever. So the guitar, the prop that they're using was actually a antique Taylor guitar. I believe it's Taylor. It was an antique guitar from, I want to say Taylor. I'm not positive on the company anymore.
Yeah.
But almost a priceless guitar. It's probably a couple 100 years old. They were supposed to do, so Daisy Domergue has it. She plays the song, and John's like, oh, that's a pretty song. Is there another verse? And so she's like, well, you sure you want to hear the last verse? And then he's like, yeah. So she plays it, and it's the verse about her killing him and escaping. And he loses his shit, and he grabs a guitar, and he smashes it.
Yeah.
Well, somehow Kurt Russell missed the memo on this guitar being what it was. They were supposed to give him a prop, and then smash the prop. Kurt Russell doesn't know that that's the case. He grabs a guitar from her, smashes the actual antique guitar, and so the reaction that what's her name, Jennifer Jason Leigh, the reaction that if you're watching it closely, she looks off camera and she screams, but it's an actual reaction to him smashing, because she understands what just happened.
Yeah.
And so Tarantino decided to keep that as the reaction for the movie. But you can, if you know that and you watch her, you can see that she like looks off camera at like people like, holy shit, he just smashed this priceless guitar. So Taylor ended up releasing a statement saying, because of this, we will never, our museum of guitars is closed to Hollywood forever. We'll never loan out another guitar for like a film.
Thanks, Tarantino.
Yeah.
Or Kurt Russell in this case.
Yeah, fucking Kurt Russell did it. Yeah.
I always hear about that, but I never hear the reaction of, what did Tarantino say about getting that guitar smashed?
I never heard.
At least I got a good scene. Oh well.
Probably, dude. That's the type of shit he always says.
What a sociopath.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Dusk Till Dawn? He was probably playing himself.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him. Someone was asking him about. Spike Lee had said, I think Quentin Tarantino wants to be an honorary black man because he uses the N-word so frequently and freely, and yada yada yada. And so the interviewer was telling Tarantino that, and they're like, "So what do you think about Spike Lee saying that about your movies?" And he's like, "Do you think I give a shit about what Spike Lee thinks about my movies? Have I ever asked Spike Lee what he thought about my movies?"
I was reading that same day.
Yeah.
Well, Quentin does take some flack for that, and and I did feel in the Hateful Eight, it is used a lot, but you have to put yourself, and I think in that time, and in Quentin is notorious for his research on his films. So he's not going to do anything that wasn't a product of that time. And that's how they talked in the
What
South.
about Django, dude?
Yeah, same with Django. Right after the Civil War, unfortunately, there were guys out there like Walter Scoggins' character that were talk like that, and they treated black people like that. And it doesn't make it right, but it is a film. And I think that's part... If Tarantino was making these movies in the 1980s, no one would even say anything. They would just say, okay, it's a Civil War movie. Yeah. But because of the times we live in now, people feel they need to say something. And they forget that the movie, it's a film, people. It takes place in this time. And if you don't like it, yes, it sucks, but it is part of our history, a bad part of our history, but it's the way people treated back then. And that's the way I think about it. And could he maybe back off some? Possibly. But, I've had black friends I've actually asked that question to. I'm like, how do you feel about Tarantino? And they're nerd friends like us, and most of them don't care. They accept it for a movie. No. But then you have guys like Spike Lee that just want to start shit. But Spike Lee's been trying to start shit since the 1980s,
Yeah, that's pretty much what he does.
Yeah. He's mad he hasn't won an Oscar.
And I read a piece where they were talking about Django Unchained, and there was... at one point in filming, DiCaprio was getting really, really uncomfortable with the way he had to portray Calvin Candy, obviously, because this dude is like a hardcore, just piece of shit racist, like white trash piece of shit.
Former slave owner.
Well, and even in this film, Walter Coggins, he apologized to Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. And so finally, so he's getting to like all bent out of shape over having to behave this way on camera, and so Samuel L. Jackson takes him aside one day and tells him like, hey, like, dude, this is your job. Like, and what he told him actually was, if you don't put everything into this character, people will not forgive you for it. Like, if you portray this character, like, with everything that you have and just go all the way, then he'll go down as one of the most infamous characters, and you'll be forgiven for it. But if you half-ass this and don't put, like, all your anger and stuff into the background of this character, then people are not going to forgive you for it. And basically that was the end of his like issue with that.
Walter Goggins is a very underrated actor.
I was going to say, I think he's the standout. I think he's the standout in that movie for me. I think he did, I mean, other than obviously Samuel Jackson and fucking
but the entire cast,
fantastic. But I think Walter Goggins really was like, damn, I didn't even know who he... I mean, he had a minor role in Django. Yeah. And he was good.
I'd seen him in some things, yeah.
He did really well at his part in that movie. Yeah. But I'm glad they gave him a bigger role, and I was like, I felt like he really shined in that role. Yeah, he was hilarious, dude.
Yeah. I first saw Walter Goggins on that TV show, The Shield. Mm-hmm. With Michael Chiklis. The Shield back in the day. Yeah.
I'd never seen him on anything except for... Django was the first thing I ever saw him.
Cops.
Well, he feels like one of those character actors. I had seen him and stuff. I knew who he was, but I didn't know who his name was or anything like that.
He has a very distinct look. Yeah, that's for sure.
But he's also kind of innocuous. Like, he doesn't stand. He does unique. He does look unique, but he's never really stood out to me until that performance, and I was like, damn, like, I fucking knew it. Like, he was so funny in that role, dude. Like, he broke it up so well, you know.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his performance.
That's almost like a Sam Rockwell type role too.
Yeah,
because I can imagine Sam Rockwell being in that role.
Yeah. I mean, he's good. I mean, everybody. Dern, of course, Dern. He's been around for years.
Roth,
Michael Madsen,
Tim Roth. Yeah,
Tim Roth is excellent in this too. I mean, a different part for him. Usually, he's that tough guy in Tarantino films, and this time he's more reserved until the twist at the end when we find out that he is a really bad dude too.
Yeah,
and of course, Michael Madsen's always the great Michael Madsen. He's always going to play his character parts really well. Yeah. And stuff. Even though he's starting to look a little old and rough in this film. He did look like...
Put on a few pounds and look like... Yeah.
And, of course, everyone remembers him as Mr. Blonde, from Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
One of his more...
Or the cop that was hunting down that species girl that was trying to have sex with dudes. And he's like, no, you can't have sex with dudes.
Oh, you remember that day.
Of course.
Yeah.
I always.
It's not what I think of when I hear Michael Madsen.
You don't think of Species with Forrest Whitaker?
No.
So how would you guys score the movie? Let's go around the table.
Dude, I put it pretty high up there, man. The more that I watch it, like every time I watch it, I gather something new from it. And when I get done watching it, I'm like, this is my favorite Tarantino movie. And then I'll watch like Inglourious Basterds, and I'll be like, no, this is my favorite Tarantino movie. And then I'll watch Django and so on and so forth. I score it high, dude. I'll give it like
an A.
You want a letter grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, give it an A for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
I would say a B plus, but I think if I watch it again, I would probably.
What keeps it from going to A for you?
I think I want it a little bit more linear. And less like Reservoir Dogs and more like let's play the whole thing out.
Well, he had been wanting to make a smaller, simple film for a long time, like Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah,
and that's why he did this. And we're lucky we even got it made. When the script leaked out,
got leaked,
he didn't want to do it. He's like, I'm not doing it now. But then
he said he was going to write it into a novelization.
Yeah,
he
was going to put it out as a novel, and they did it as a stage play where they sold tickets, in L.A. or whatever, and like a stage reading. And I think that stage reading between, I think Michael Parks was still alive. And I think I read somewhere where Michael Parks and Kurt Russell and all them convinced him, like, go ahead and make this movie, that you need to do it. And they convinced him not to just throw it away. Because it almost didn't happen.
Well, that's once again Tarantino being a little baby. Like, I'm not going to do it. Like, come on, bro.
That almost sounded just like Tarantino.
Like, you probably put 10 years into this shit, and now because someone pissed you off, you're just going to throw it away. Right. Come on, dude. Just make the movie and shut up. Like,
yeah, not very many people will actually go out of their way to read that script.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I'm like, I didn't even look for it. I'm
yeah.
like, well, we'll see what happens when it comes out in 5 years.
I would personally give it an A+.
Yeah.
For sure. I score it really high. It came out of nowhere because I've been on a break from Tarantino for a while since Kill Bill Volume 2, so I still haven't seen Inglourious or Django.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Your life is incomplete, bro.
Anyhow, but yeah, an A+ for Hateful Eight until I see those two movies that I didn't see yet. But it's just an amazing film because it's just all fantastic dialogue.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic mystery. The black comedy, it's subversive, and it hits all the right notes for me.
I agree.
The score, the acting, the direction.
Dude, the last when the credits roll, that song, it's a song by Roy Orbison, and it's like there won't be many coming home. It's like, dude, like that. How does he nail it with those songs and like this? Like in Django,
done a good job with that.
In Django, the soundtrack is so sick, and like, I mean, the soundtrack to Django might even have been better than the Hateful Eight. Honestly, it was so good. It was so like hit right where it needs to be. But, anyways, yeah, just a touch further on the soundtrack.
How about you, Mark?
I think I give it a solid A. I don't. It's funny with Quentin's films. There's none that I would really rank low. I'm not a huge fan of Jackie Brown, but I think that this just keeps from getting an A+ to me, only because it's a little too similar to Reservoir Dogs for me in style. And Reservoir Dogs is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie because I've talked about before in the show. I saw that in high school, so it had a heavy influence on me. So I always have a special place for Reservoir Dogs. But this is extremely well acted and well written, and it's the first Quentin Tarantino movie that sometimes with his dialogue scenes, sometimes they can drag on. I never felt like any of this dragged at all in this. That's one thing I did like about it. Like Inglourious Basterds, which I know you haven't seen, the table scene at the beginning. It's like, okay, let's get to the next scene, Quentin. In Death Proof.
The movie is driven by conversation.
I know. In Death Proof, the scene with the girls in the diner at the beginning. I'm like, okay, we get it. Let's get to the next scene. But this is the first time I had a Tarantino film where I'd never felt that the dialogue dragged. But again, that's because it harkens back to Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction when his films were a little bit tighter. Yeah. If that makes sense. So I like it a lot.
I like the historical aspect too.
And I was going to ask you, Clint, too, because since I've known you, for about a year, a year now since we've been friends. What did you? Is being a big Tarantino fan like you? Is this similar to like my generation with Star Wars? It just came out the right time for you that you latched onto him?
That's a good question. I don't think it was because like people my age are people that I know who are into movies and stuff. Most of them are like, yeah, Tarantino's good. His movies are good, but they're not like kind of fanatic, or they're not just like. They don't like hold him in such high regard that I hold them. Yeah. And I think it's probably because the age that I was when I initially discovered Tarantino, and like he said, I think a good word he said was subversive. Like they were so kind of anti-heroic and subversive in that aspect that's always been kind of something that I've latched onto. So like that, like kind of like the underdog or the anti-hero would be the best way to describe it. Like these people who are not good people, and somehow he gets you to like empathize with them and want them to succeed, even though these are every one of these characters are a piece of shit. Like there's no good people in Tarantino movies. No. Like, can you think of one character who's like actually a good person? They all have characteristics that you could maybe Inglourious Basterds, Shoshana. She's probably a good person.
And maybe in Reservoir. Tim Roth's character, because he is a cop. Yeah. So maybe he's almost there, but yeah.
Yeah, but even he is like a liar and a traitor to people who consider him a friend. Yeah. And so like, but you end up like rooting for these characters, and that's probably why because I think the first movie that really got me into Tarantino obviously was Pulp Fiction. And not only that, it's just the mystique that he builds around his movies. It's like in Pulp Fiction you're switching back and forth from time frames. You don't know exactly where you're at. It's extremely graphic. Like they're shooting heroin, like they're showing you how to inject heroin.
First time I saw it, I didn't like it. Yeah. But as I watched it a few more times, I liked it more and more.
And that's another thing that I really enjoy about Tarantino movies, and why I think they're such good pieces of cinema, is because every time I watch one, it's like I can pick out new things, new nuances that I'm like, oh, I didn't even like. Okay, there's that too. And it's like no matter how many times I watch these movies, I can always enjoy watching them. Like, there's certain movies, you've seen it once, you've seen it twice, you've seen it 3 times, that's it, you don't need to watch it anymore. Yeah. Like, I've seen most Tarantino movies 10, 12, 15 times, and I could sit down and watch any one of them right now and be like, oh, damn, like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. And it's like nerddom, it's like just like weird little nods to this and winks to that. And I don't know, I just find them very, like, engaging movies. But I don't think it's a generational thing. So when is he going to release
Kill Bill, the final cut?
I don't know, man.
Is he still doing it?
Dude, I don't think so. The last thing I saw about that was no. Honestly, man, Kill Bills were my least favorite Tarantino movies.
I like him because
I like Kill Bill.
It struck a chord with me because I love martial arts movies.
Yeah,
Tori Hanzo.
Yeah.
Some of it was really. I still liked them, and I've still watched them several times.
The first one's the one that I like the most.
But of all of them, those are my least favorite. I'm not sure. They just don't do it for me. I don't know why, but.
So, do you think he'll stick to his guns and only do 10 films?
I think that would be cool. It would suck for the rest of us, but if he does that, he'll do like his little, like, he did some like a couple scenes in Sin City, and he's done his other little, like,
whenever he wrote Dusk Till Dawn,
stuff like that. Well,
he says he won't count Star Trek if he ends up directing it, and I
hope he does that.
And I still want his Dirty Dozen remake. He says the script's been sitting there for years. I still want to see him do his Dirty Dozen remake.
I haven't heard anything about that, but that would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
My dad loved that movie. We used to watch that movie together.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why he put it down. He said somewhere at some point, he goes, well, I don't know if I can do it as good as the original. So I think he was afraid to do it, but I know he had talked about it one time, doing that.
That Star Trek, that we need that for sure.
Yeah.
And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was badass.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it, man. And I just, it coming out in late July, and with football season with my son and school starting, I just couldn't make it to see it, man.
And once again, I've seen it twice now, and I'm still like, I need to watch it a couple more times to fully like grasp it. And that's something that is initially annoying. Like every time I watch one of the long ones, because this is another one, Django, Inglourious Bastards, Hateful Eight, and then this one, they're all like 2.5, 3 hours long. So yeah, by the time it's over, you're like, okay, I just watched 3 hours of this movie and I'm not really sure what's going on still. And then you watch it again, and you're like, okay, so they went back in time to this, and then they went back to this. Okay, so it's it's like you have to watch them multiple times to finally get into the world of the movie. And initially that's kind of annoying even to me when I watch it. Like, I know the first time I watch it, I'm like, I'm so excited to see this, but I know when it's over I'm gonna be not disappointed but just not satisfied yet.
What was the last movie that his lifelong editor died? What was the last? Was it Django or was it Inglourious Bastards? Was the last time?
Oh no, I thought it was Hateful Eight.
Was it
I think
Hateful
because
Eight?
I read that someone complained about the editing in Once Upon a Hollywood because it was the first time he used a different editor.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, because he's had only one editor throughout his
It was a lady, wasn't it?
It was a lady.
And she had cancer or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's had only one editor throughout all of his movies until Once Upon a Time.
And Once Upon a Time does have a slightly different aesthetic and feel to it. Obviously, it's set in a different time frame, but it does have like a little bit different vibe to it than any other Tarantino movie. And that's why normally by the time I watch it the second time, I'm like, okay, I have a firm grasp on this movie. Still, I'm like, I need to watch it at least one more time to feel like I've wrapped my head around it all the way, because I'm not going to spoil it here, but for those of you who haven't seen it. But I mean, it's great. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. I'm just not fully. I don't fully get it yet.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it. I was excited about it just because I know Leonardo DiCaprio takes a little bit of flack in Hollywood for being a Hollywood playboy and things like that, but he's honestly one of my favorite actors. I think he's does some great stuff.
He goes the F off in this movie, dude. His acting, and I mean that's one thing that you can just say like about Tarantino.
No,
it's just like,
this is the only movie that DiCaprio and Pitt are together. I don't think they've ever acted together in a movie, have they?
Yeah, I can't think of anything they've done together.
No, me neither. Could be a unicorn.
Unless they did something like...
They need to do it more often, though. I can tell you that, because their performance together is like amazing. Yeah, it's so much fun, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't, unless there's something I'm just not thinking off the top of my head, but yeah, this might be the first time they worked together. Yeah. Two superstars.
Yeah, those guys are... I mean, DiCaprio does it in Django. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I wished he would have been in Hateful Eight, but then again, the casting was so
it
was perfect. I really wouldn't want to change anything. What was it? Someone was telling me that there was it was some casting anomaly. Somebody wanted to be involved in it and they couldn't. And I thought, man, that would have been nuts. Brain farting on that. It was something cool in the Tarantino verse, but I can't remember what it was.
I can't imagine. There's got to be somebody. Everyone's probably wanted to work with Quentin at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So that's all I have to say. I guess we'll move on to the news.
What's going on in the news?
News.
So, Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd have confirmed they're coming back in this Ghostbusters film.
Okay,
finally.
cool.
No Bill Murray confirmation yet.
No Egon?
So, no Egon.
That's
going to be kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I know.
I heard Dan Aykroyd on Rogan like 2 weeks ago, and he was saying like, Rogan was asking him, so did you get, or they were talking about that, and he was like, so is Bill Murray confirmed or what? He was like, well, I'm not going to make any guarantees, but let's just say, we're working on it. So it seemed like the way he was saying it, there was like...
Bill Murray's always holding things up with that Ghostbusters. Mm-hmm. He had no problem doing a cameo, but...
Remember whenever he showed up to win was it an Emmy?
Yeah.
And he took off his suit, and underneath it was a...
Ghostbusters
uniform, and then he had put on the...
And, I wonder if they're going a little more old school Ghostbusters with a little low budget, because, it just started filming. like a couple of weeks ago, and it's due next July, which tells me there must not be a large amount of special effects in this if the film's coming out in July.
That's what Ackroyd was saying on that podcast.
What if they used rotoscope again? That'd be friggin' awesome.
Well, you don't even have to use rotoscope to go that old school. It just must not be a huge amount of special effects in this film.
Well, the director's always done indie projects.
Ivan Reitman's son?
Yeah, he's always done small projects anyway, so he doesn't really need a big budget to do it.
Yeah, and Ackroyd, that's what he was saying on that podcast. He was like, Joe Rogan was asking him, he had mentioned something like in passing about how he wasn't super excited about the reboot with all the female cast, and he's like, so what happened with that? And he was like, well, I mean, I'm not gonna like speak ill of the production or anything, but basically they had a lot of money. They spent too much money to make a movie that didn't have as much value. Yeah. And he's like, we're not gonna spend as much money on this movie.
Yeah. It's fucking Sony.
Yeah, and he wasn't saying
Sony doesn't know how to make movies to begin with.
He wasn't saying like we're not gonna spend money because we're making a shitty movie. He's like, it's not necessary.
Spend money the right way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people super excited about it. My 4-year-old included, who has he's become the world's biggest 4-year-old Ghostbuster fan in the last 6 months. So he can't wait. He seriously asks me all the time, "Is there a new trailer out? Is there a new trailer?" He's 4 years old, so he's looking forward to Ghostbusters coming out.
Sweet.
Yeah. So,
too bad you didn't get the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
I know.
That would have hold him over.
Yeah. Hopefully one day they release that on a cheaper Blu-ray because it's expensive.
Is it?
Yeah. They
you can stream them somewhere. I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah. Did y'all watch the Sci-Fi Channel Battlestar Galactica in mid 2000s?
Yes.
They got a lot of rave reviews. So, they're going to reboot it again, but yet they're saying it's not really a reboot. Like it's a reimagining, a new version of Battlestar Galactica.
It's fucking reboot.
Guess what? There's another streaming service coming out. NBC is getting ready to launch theirs next year.
Man, fuck
and
that.
NBC owns Sci-Fi Channel and all those things, so they own the rights to all this. So they're going to reboot Battlestar Galactica again.
I thought they were making a movie.
That's what I thought too. And I thought the movie was supposed to spin off from the series from the 2000s.
Yeah.
So this just sounds to me like another NBC not really knowing what they want to do.
NBC Universal, another studio that doesn't know how to make movies anymore.
I never finished Battlestar Galactica from the mid 2000s. I watched like the first 2 seasons, and I've never gone back.
You never finished it?
I never started it.
It's really good. I really liked it when it was on. I just never finished it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
where's your nerd card?
I think I passed that more.
From the looks of this living room here. No, this is a cool place. I like all your memorabilia, man, for sure.
And so the DC shows on the WB are very popular. The Flash and Arrow. They're doing this Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover this fall. So now they announced that Tom Welling and Erica Durance, who were on Smallville, are coming back.
Yeah.
And they're going to play Superman and Lois Lane, respectively. And, man, I haven't been a big follower of the DC stuff on WB. I watched the first couple of seasons of The Flash, and I really did like it. But, again, life happens. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff. But I did watch some of Smallville, including the final episode, which I thought was a great finale, where Tom Welling wore the Superman suit, and so I think it's kind of cool that he's coming back. I might actually have to tune into this Crisis.
And Brendan Routh is coming back as
Brendan Routh is coming back.
Yeah,
and it might just be a really
Burt Ward's coming back as
Robin.
Robin, yeah.
It might be cheesy as fuck, but it might be worth recording on the DVR and sit down watching this whole crossover they do, just to see all these actors coming back and these parts they played over the years.
I just bought a HD antenna from our TV. Now I can finally watch local TV again.
Nice. HD. What's this? 1984.
You up there like fiddling with your rabbit ears?
Yeah, exactly.
I got a signal ball.
Dude, I remember that. That's not fiction.
Oh no,
dude.
I had an old TV that
it's actually a tablet antenna.
I had an old TV that hit the side of it to get to go back into place sometimes.
Yeah, you change the channels like click, click, click. It's like a little connect your video games via the red, white, and yellow connection. The connector.
God, sometimes is NBC like in Galveston or something, because no matter what part of Houston I live, NBC is always the weakest signal for me.
Well, just like
Channel 2.
Well, like I have DirecTV, and I swear, like during Harvey 2 years ago, never lost signal. Little rainstorm last week, lost signal. This week during the tropical storm, never lost signal again. They boost it during emergencies. You know they do. Which tells you they can boost it all the time and you never have to lose the signal.
Yeah.
Bastards.
So, yeah.
Throttling.
Last bit of news I got is Jon Favreau says he'll do another Star Wars holiday special if people want it. He said just talk to Disney Plus. Of course, he's been the showrunner on The Mandalorian, which is going to come out November 12th when Disney Plus hits. And if you've ever watched the Star Wars holiday special,
I died 10 minutes.
You lose part of your life watching.
What is this?
So in 1978, people were clamoring for more Star Wars. The toys hit a year later, because they weren't ready when the movie came out. Mm-hmm. So Fox was doing anything they could to make more Star Wars on TV because they knew the sequel was a couple years away. So they did a holiday special they aired on NBC or something like that, where they had Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill all come back. It introduces Chewbacca's family. They're singing in it. Bo Arthur is in it. Mark Hamill's literally singing. It's terrible. You can look it up on YouTube.
That sounds really cringy.
It's best known for an animated sequence in it that introduces Boba Fett. And that part's kind of cool, and it went on to influence the Droids animated cartoon from the 80s. And, George Lucas at one time ordered all copies destroyed. He never wanted Saw or released.
That's
terrible.
awesome.
Yeah, it's that bad.
So it's become a famous bootleg over the years.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in some parts, but with Star Wars. Whenever it was like, oh, it's the male person.
It really is that horrible. I love all things Star Wars, and this thing you can't watch. It's if you're really curious, look it up on YouTube. It's out there, and so Jon Favreau said if people want another one, he would do it. But I think Favreau would probably make a much better one than the one they made back then. So we'll see.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's done. In the late 60s, 70s, they did the variety specials on television where they had celebrities do their own show. Mm-hmm. They would do skits, and they would have songs in between. That's what it was too. It was in that format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's all the news I wrote down. Unless y'all did you have anything long? I know sometimes you have some news.
There was one that was.
There weren't any new movie trailers or nothing out this week. It was kind of,
that Terminator game came out.
Oh yeah, the Terminator Resistance game. But you know what? My first thought of that Terminator Resistance game is it looks cool, but it's got movie tie written all over it. Why did no one hear about this game until right now? 2 months before the movie comes out.
It's gonna be whack.
So it's just gonna be thrown together kind of quick. It's gonna look cool, but it's probably not gonna be a very good game.
The last Terminator game I played was Rise of the Machines, and I didn't like it that much.
Well, the Terminator Salvation game actually was pretty okay.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't played any of them since T2 on Sega Genesis.
No, not the arcade one. There's one out. I have it on my PS3.
Oh, okay.
You can probably get on the Xbox 360 and play it on your Xbox One. But the Terminator Salvation game is actually okay. That one wasn't too bad for a movie tie-in. But that's my thought when I saw that game. I was like, this is a movie
I'm going
tie-in.
to pass.
Yeah.
I almost forgot the 2-minute NFL brief. Real quick.
You're an NFL brief?
I'm not going to go over scores, but I will go over some major developments. Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger's injured, gone for the rest of the season.
That's right.
And Drew Brees is now also probably done for the rest of the season.
No, 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Third, the biggest one that we shared with that I shared with you two. Antonio Brown is released from the Patriots.
He went from making possibly $30 million this year to making $158,000. Don't get me wrong, I don't feel bad for him. It's still a lot of money, but
I'll take the $30 million, please.
And you're not familiar. You may not be familiar with this, but last year Antonio Brown is like a prima donna, like in the nth degree for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's just raising fuss, just complaining about the team. He wants to be off the team all year, just a mama drama. So he finally gets traded to the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, John Gruden's not going to put up with that kind of prima donna behavior. Well, he wasn't even with the Raiders
Maybe
for
a month.
Brown was complaining about the helmet. And, because they were changing helmet regulations, and he wanted his old helmet. It was his good luck helmet. Yada yada. Fought for that. NFL says no. And then Brown shared a private conversation in social media between him and John Gruden, the coach.
What a dumbass.
Yeah. So, and
actively trying to destroy the best thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, and Antonio Brown's a really good receiver too for his age. And then he dared the organization to release him And they released him. The Raiders released him. The Pittsburgh Steelers fans were laughing at him.
Oh, I bet.
But the Patriots swooped in and hired him for a 1-year contract.
Yep.
The best team in the league, arguably.
And now they've released him.
How many rape allegations does he have? Two
2 weeks later. Yeah.
I read about
because
that.
of rape allegations and other weird things. So Antonio Brown was released. So and then Pittsburgh Steelers fans are laughing again. They weren't laughing when the Patriots picked him up because New England is their biggest rival.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my 2-minute news brief.
2-minute drill.
Yeah.
Thank you for updating me on all that.
Well, let's preview next week's movie. We're getting close to October, in which we usually do Halloween Horrors Month, and we're going to start a little early since next week's close enough to the end of being of October. We're going to kick it off with a family-friendly film before we get into some darker stuff, and we're going to do a childhood favorite of mine. We're going to do The Monster Squad.
You know who to call when you have ghosts, but who do you call when you have monsters?
We're the Monster Squad. What's a squad? It's like Miami Vice, I think.
They're young and inexperienced.
Naughty virgin.
They're a bit disorganized.
Monsters are not real.
We don't know that, sir.
2,000-year-old dead guys do not get up and walk away by themselves.
But when strange things start happening in town...
There's a monster in my closet.
Ooh, look at that big, scary monster.
What's happening? You wait until the werewolf.
Silver bullet?
They're the only ones ready to do battle.
Something's out there that's killing people. And if it's monsters, nobody's gonna do a thing about it but us.
Soon the creatures of the night shall rule the world.
Real monsters? Us? Midnight. In the world, remember? Maybe we can be like Mask Squad instead, Two mask bombs.
We got 1035, sit back up, hurry up!
Or Nature Squad. The book was right. Don't you see it's all true?
By midnight,
You guys!
they won't seem so young anymore. The Monster Squad.
Wolfman's gone mad.
Yeah, this is directed by Shane Black.
Shane Black?
Well, no, he wrote it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wrote it, and his friend directed it. Of course, he went on to make Iron Man 3 and some other stuff. And it's
Kiss Bang Bang.
It was supposed
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was a good movie.
Kiss Bang Bang. It was supposed to be
Underrated, in my opinion.
It was supposed to be Universal's relaunch back then of the Universal monsters and those things, and kind of a Goonies version of chasing monsters instead of pirates. And I really like this movie a lot. It's gonna be fun to talk about. The Wolfman's Got Nards is of course one of the famous funny scenes in the movie.
I don't think I've ever seen this movie.
You may have though. This is one of those movies though where people don't always remember it, but then when they watch it, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen this, and they usually like it. Yeah. But it's on Amazon Prime right now, so you can follow along.
I saw it on there. I might
and watch it. It's a good fun flick. You got to put yourself in that 13-year-old mindset of back in the 80s and just enjoy it for what it is. It's actually got a really good rendition of Dracula in it. So that people at the time when this movie came out thought it was one of the better versions of Dracula in a film. So
since Christopher Lee's Hammer Dracula,
possibly so. So the Monster Squad is going to kick off our Halloween month next week.
Monster Smash.
Monster Smash.
I'm excited.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
So,
What else are y'all going to do? You go that far ahead?
Yeah, we did. We put them on our social media already. We're going to cover.
I'm just curious.
We're going to cover 28 Days Later.
Good one.
We're going to do Nightmare on Elm Street 3. We did Nightmare 1 last year, but we're going to go out of order and skip 2 and do 3. We're going to do Army of Darkness. And we're going to do another kid film. So we always do some things for the kids. We're going to do Paranorman also.
Oh, okay.
A stop-motion animation movie from
that movie's still pretty creepy.
Yeah, Paranorman's good, though. So a couple of good kid flicks and some adult stuff in there, too. So it should be fun.
Yeah, sounds like a good lineup.
And we may have another live show at Misfit Toys in October, too. So, which will probably be Army of Darkness at the Misfit Toy Show.
In each episode, I'll be sharing a scary story, whether it's true or fictitious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not about somebody having to suck your dick. Particularly being a man naked in the snow.
Yeah. And 2 of them are involved with Disney World. Yeah.
Once again, hopefully it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. But yeah, so good stuff, man.
Cool. I'm excited for those spooky stories.
You better bring it, man.
Bring
Pressure's on.
Oh,
Don't disappoint me. I want to be scared.
Yeah.
But
or at least feel a little, creeped out. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Someone pop up on you on the Indiana Jones exhibit and put his hands to your chest and say, Kalima! Kalima!
Or just the fact that we walk out this door and we see an abandoned house.
Right.
The
Ah,
road.
shit, dude. I gotta leave here in a minute. I'm not trying. Don't say that.
and
You know why is it abandoned, Mark?
that was Alan's brother lived there. He died. So yes, and they never rented the house out after his brother died.
Oh, yeah.
So
Haunted.
yeah. So yeah. So Clint, man, throw out your social media where they can find your podcast. Let people know where to follow you, man.
Absolutely. So you can check out the podcast on all major podcasting platforms. It's RAWCAST, the Antisocial Commentary Podcast. I'm usually more active on Instagram and Facebook because they're just linked together. So on Instagram, I'm at Keep It Rawcastian, and on Facebook, I'm at The Real Rawcast. And those are I do post to Twitter occasionally when I have to. Twitter was like the last social that I got involved with, so I'm just like I just can't take it. It's too much.
Right.
So like I'll throw something on there when I absolutely have to, even though my following there is minute, but I just don't focus on it. So yeah, check me out on Instagram or Facebook, and then of course wherever you get your podcasts at, and check out CBD's Apothecary as well if you're interested in CBD products. Promo code for you guys, 10% off your entire purchase. We'll do Rebel, REBEL. So that'll be that for me. And also we have social media for CBD's Apothecary. It's just CBD's Apothecary on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good, man. And follow us, of course. We have the rebelradiopodcast.com, and you can link to all our stuff there, our Facebook and our Twitter and Instagram and all that. Why are you pointing at me?
Is this something weird with the screen?
No, it's just iTunes acting kind of funny.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was like, your device is going to restart.
No,
It's like,
no.
no.
Deleting this entire
You're like
podcast.
pointing at me. I was like, what are you pointing at me for? But thanks for coming on the show. Clint,
Absolutely, man.
It was awesome, dude. Talking
Yeah,
to
that was
a
fun.
good Quentin Tarantino movie. And thank you guys for coming and hanging out again.
Absolutely.
No, I always see you guys.
Yeah.
I saw you twice today.
Yeah.
You know?
Double dipped.
Yeah. But
You dipped. You took a bite. You dipped it again.
that's weird.
That is weird.
But this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Log.
I'm Clint.
And thank you as always for listening to Rebel Radio Podcast. And check out Rawcast, man. It's a good show. I am a subscriber on iTunes to your show, too.
Appreciate that.
Until next time, remember, as always, just go there and do it.
This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. I love Houston. I love podcasting. But what I really love is the Rebel Radio Podcast.